first, a look at the headlines on Sports 360. In news from Formula One, Red Bull are considering to swap lackluster Liam Lawson with Yuki Tsunoda for the Japanese Grand Prix in April.
Liam Lawson is out and Yuki Tsunoda is in at Red Bull, starting from Suzuka. Just a few days ago, after the Shanghai race, there were already rumors about changes in the Red Bull lineup, but few expected such a quick and drastic decision. Lawson will now be moving to the Racing Bulls team, while Tsunoda steps up to take his place in the senior Red Bull team. But was it the right decision? And how will it impact both drivers moving forward? Let's find out in today's episode. The decision was made during a board meeting in Dubai. Oliver Mitzloff, Christian Horner, Helmut Marko, and possibly others gather to discuss the team's performance and future. Red Bull's goal this season is to compete for the Constructors' Championship, and for that, they need both drivers to contribute points. Unfortunately for Lawson, he had failed to score in his first two races. Technically, there were 3 races, including a sprint race, but he still could not secure any points. The team could not afford to lose any more ground, and they needed a driver who could deliver results immediately. One of the more shocking aspects of this decision is how it became public. But what made this situation even worse was that Lawson himself was not informed before the news was leaked. That means he likely found out through media reports rather than directly from the team. This is a harsh way to handle a young driver's career, and it surely must have been a devastating moment for him. The main reason for the quick decision seems to be financial. Japan is a crucial market for Honda, which is Red Bull's engine supplier. Honda already pays around 10 million euros per year for Tsunoda to drive for Racing Bulls. Last year, Honda even offered Red Bull an additional 10 million euros if they promoted Tsunoda to the senior team. At that time, Red Bull declined and went with Lawson. However, with Lawson struggling, Red Bull went back to Honda recently and renegotiated. Reports suggest that Honda agreed to pay another 10 million euros for Tsunoda's promotion, but with one condition. He had to be in the Red Bull seat before the Japanese Grand Prix. With Suzuka just around the corner, Red Bull had no time to waste. This move is a massive boost for Honda's publicity. There is a big promotional event in Tokyo on the Wednesday before the race where all 4 drivers, Max Verstappen, Sergio Perez, Yuki Tsunoda, and Liam Lawson, will appear together for the first time since the switch. The timing is perfect for Honda as they can showcase their Japanese driver in a Red Bull car just before the home race. Tsunoda will now wear the dark blue colors of Red Bull, while Lawson moves back to the white and blue of Racing Bulls. This change raises questions about how it will affect the drivers psychologically. For Lawson, it must be a tough blow. After working hard to earn his spot, he now finds himself demoted after just 2 races. On the other hand, Tsunoda has been performing well, and his promotion seems justified based on his driving skills. But driving for Red Bull comes with enormous pressure. If he fails to deliver, he could face the same fate as Lawson. Behind the scenes, the Red Bull and Racing Bulls teams are now scrambling to adjust everything. Promotional materials featuring Lawson as a Red Bull driver have to be replaced with Tsunoda. Garage signs need to be changed, and even the official programs for the Japanese Grand Prix must be updated. All of this has to happen within days. There will also be new photo shoots. Tsunoda in the Red Bull uniform and Lawson back in Racing Bulls gear. It is a logistical nightmare for the teams, but they have no choice. One of the most difficult moments will come when Lawson arrives at the Suzuka paddock on Thursday. The media will be waiting for him, cameras ready to capture his reaction. He will have to walk in knowing that he's been replaced. It will be a test of his mental strength to handle this situation with grace. Journalists will analyze his every move, looking for signs of frustration, disappointment, or perhaps even relief. This situation also shows how unpredictable Red Bull's second car has been in recent years. Many drivers have struggled to adapt to it, and even experienced racers have found it challenging. If Tsunoda performs well, it will prove that he was the right choice. But if he struggles, it might raise questions about whether the car itself is too difficult to handle. This decision also brings back memories of how Red Bull handled Daniel Ricciardo's situation in Singapore last year. Ricciardo had to step aside due to injury, and Lawson was given a temporary chance to prove himself. Now, just months later, Lawson is the one losing his seat. Red Bull has a history of making sudden driver changes, and this latest move only adds to their reputation. The recent situation with Red Bull's second car has raised many questions. A young driver was given only 2 races to prove himself before being replaced. That is an extremely short time, and it suggests that something might be wrong with the car itself. If the car is truly difficult to drive, then no matter who is behind the wheel, they will struggle. The upcoming Japanese Grand Prix will be very interesting because it will show how Yuki Tsunoda performs in that car. If he also struggles, then the problem is not with the drivers, but with the car itself. While all of this is happening, other teams are watching closely. Red Bull's internal issues could make them weaker, and competitors like McLaren and Mercedes might see this as an opportunity. When a team is not stable, it becomes easier for others to challenge them. Red Bull has been extremely dominant in recent years, but instability in their second seat could open the door for rivals. The decision to replace a driver so quickly means a lot of work behind the scenes. The team has to adjust, engineers have to change setups, and PR teams have to manage the media. Speaking of PR, the way Red Bull handled this situation was not ideal. Normally, when a major story is about to break, teams try to control the narrative by giving a statement to the press. But in this case, it seems the story was published before Red Bull had a chance to respond. That puts them in a difficult position because now they have to deal with the fallout. In Formula One, managing relationships with the media is crucial. Some journalists break stories that teams would rather keep quiet. But if a team reacts too harshly, it can make things worse. A good example is what happened last year with Christian Horner. A journalist published a story about him that Red Bull was not happy with, but instead of cutting ties with that journalist, they had to keep things professional. This is how the sport works. Teams and journalists need each other. Now, with the driver swap at Red Bull, we are entering a new phase. This kind of mid-season change is very rare, especially after just 2 races. If you include the sprint race, then the driver only had 3 chances before being removed. That is brutal, especially for a young driver. Liam Lawson was seen at the airport heading back to the UK with just 2 suitcases. It must have been a tough moment for him. He was given a huge opportunity but had almost no time to prove himself. He did not even get to speak much about it before leaving. On the other side, Yuki Tsunoda is stepping into the new role. He's a likable driver with a lot of talent, and many fans support him. He was recently seen dining at a restaurant with his new manager Diego, who might have played a role in this deal. If that's the case, Yuki will be happy to have such strong support in his corner. One interesting thing about this change is that it could have been even worse for Liam. There were rumors that another driver, Colapinto, was in line to take his seat. If that had happened, Liam might have been out of Formula One completely. For now, he still has a place in the Red Bull system, but his future is uncertain. But for now, things are just unpredictable. Now, don't hesitate to comment down your thoughts on this. And while you're down there, make sure you hit that subscribe button as well.